Hello everyone and welcome back to the Scottish Lads NFL Breakdown YouTube channel and possibly podcast if this goes out on podcast. I'm joined by Flynn and we're after about 2 months apart from that wee channel update we added, but proper stuff is back. Flynn, how you doing?
I'm doing alright. It's good to be back. Long wait.
Yep. So Flynn, what are the plans for today's video?
Today we're going to be going over the Week 8 predictions and who we think is going to win.
Indeed. So Flynn, do you want to get us started off with the first game of the week?
Yep, so we're going to be covering the Falcons and the Panthers game first. Now, this one I'm thinking is going to be quite easy. Now, I'm going to think Panthers because the Falcons have not started well at all. They're 1-6. Their players... The thing is, during this COVID thing, teams are not performing well, obviously, during training has been cancelled and everything. So there's a lot of teams that you wouldn't have expected at this stage already to be struggling. So the Panthers, I think, have benefited from this COVID crisis, and I think they are going to win this comfortably, just because of Falcons and how they started.
Right, fair enough. Now, on my side of the ball, I am also going with the Panthers to win, but unlike Flynn, I can see this being a very tight one. Now, obviously, this is a divisional matchup, and both teams, like Flynn said, have struggled with COVID, but the Panthers have came out on top, surprising quite a few folk with their starts so far. But this game, I'm covering the fantasy sort of, like my top performers for each team this week. So for the Falcons, I can see Todd Gurley having a great fantasy game as the Panthers are one of the worst defences against the run, and it's been proven with multiple high fantasy scores for running backs against them. So Todd Gurley is a must start this week. Then on the Panthers side of things, I'm thinking all wide receivers must be started, including the running back, whoever it's going to be, Christian McCaffrey or Mike Davis. But my star this week in terms of fantasy, already on the first game, is DJ Moore, who didn't have a great start to the season, but started to pick things back up to pace. And this Falcons defense have not been too great, especially against the pass. And if Robbie Anderson's getting the best coverage, DJ Moore's going to find himself open and hopefully have himself a great game. And that's why I'm predicting him to be my star of the week this week. Anyway, Flynn, over to you for our next game.
So our next game is going to be the Packers and the Vikings. Now, like I said last time, just purely because of the Vikings' record, I feel like the Packers are going to come out top of this one. Especially with the Vikings and how they did well last year. It's very surprising how they started 1-5. The Packers have been great so far. I think this one will be tight, but the Packers will come up on top.
Right, I agree with Flynn on that one. I do see the Packers coming away, and the Vikings just haven't had a great start to this season. Also, I'd like to point out the Packers have just been dominant, apart from that one stint against the Bucks where they got admittedly outclassed by the Bucks defense. But here it should be a pretty straightforward game for the Packers, with the Vikings defense being basically abysmal, and the offense hasn't really got things going most games. So there's no surprise that my only start on the Vikings is Dalvin Cook, as the Packers are not great against the run. However, it's still going to be a difficult one, but I can see Dalvin Cook getting decent fantasy numbers this week, maybe above 20 for you this week. Decent the things. We've got starting Devontae Adams at wide receiver. We've seen how much Aaron Rodgers targeted him last week, and that's not going to change this week against a dreadful pass defence. Obviously, I'm starting Aaron Rodgers this week. I can see him having another big week. 2 bounce-back games after the game he had against the Bucks is imminent here, and he is a must-start. And then Aaron Jones on the ground again. You can't not start him if you own him, and this is a very favourable matchup this week. I'd also like to put in, if you've not got Marquez Valdes-Scantling in your lineup and he is available, he would not be a bad shout to pick up off the waiver wire and start this week, as because the Vikings just are not great against the pass or the run in that matter. But anyway, Flynn, that's all I've got on this. On to our next game.
Going back to Aaron Rodgers, Cammy, as you mentioned, I think he'll benefit from this game, so he's a very good shout. Anyway, going on to the next game is the Bengals and the Titans. Now, the Bengals, I think it's safe to say they're one of the not so good teams in the league. I mean, and they're against a really strong Titan team. I think the Titans will dominate this game. The Bengals have underperformed every year, so I think this is inevitable what the outcome's going to be.
Oh, Flynn hating on them Bengals fans straight
I know,
off
I'm
the
sorry,
bat.
boys.
Now, I'm of course going to the Titans to win, like Flynn said. However, I don't necessarily think the Bengals are bad. It's just that, they've struggled in the fourth quarter in obtaining leads. Joe Burrow has changed them, but I'm kind of slinging my hook here with them. But to be honest, for the Titans, you could basically get away with starting most of the offense because it's the Bengals' defense that's letting them down. The
Yeah.
offenses look bright, but the defense just hasn't. So my main starts obviously is going to be Derrick Henry. He'll run all over the Bengals and probably have a 20 plus fantasy point game. AJ Brown in there again, probably high ups here, and I could reckon 16 plus fantasy point game. Adam Humphries, about a 10 plus fantasy point game, which is still decent for someone that most folk don't have on the roster and is very much worth picking up. And then Ryan Tannehill, who's secretly had a great start to this season, who again I can see having a pretty nice game here on the Bengals side of things. Now, a few folk might question this decision. Now, it depends. I've got Joe Mixon starting, but if he doesn't start, then Gio Bernard could also start. However, it's going to be a difficult one, but I can see whoever start and get a decent amount of carries and rack up quite a few fantasy points, like 15 plus, I'm saying here. And then T. Higgins, who, if you've not heard of, then you're just stupid and genuinely fantasy football is not your thing. He's blown up in fantasy this year and he got picked up now. But if you don't have T. Higgins on your roster, you need to get him picked up because he's playing great and he's not receiving the best coverage because everyone's marking AJ Green, which he's been a very quietly great player for the Bengals this season. Him and Tyler Boyd have combined for a decent amount of points each week, so him and Tyler Boyd are must starts this week for me. Apart from that, nothing else on this game, so Flynn, back over to you.
Yeah, a couple of good names in there for the Bengals team, but as you said, it's just the defence that's letting them down. Anyway, moving on to the next game is the Chiefs and the Jets. Now, obviously the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. They'll be very chuffed with what they did last year. The Jets this year, not so much, being 0-7. Yep, that's right. The Jets have been very surprising on their form. They've just underperformed everywhere. Nothing's gone right for them, and they're going against a very strong Chiefs side with Mahomes, Kelsey. I think the Chiefs will win this, undoubtedly.
Right, well, Flynn, speak of the devil here. I think if you're picking for the Jets to win, then you are looking for some serious luck to happen. However, I've got all of the offensive plus defensive players playing this week. Start everyone for the Chiefs you have possible because this should be a blowout and should be multiple fantasy points going all around the Chiefs offense. And if you've got the Chiefs defense, then make sure to get them started on the Jets side. I genuinely have no one starting here. You could maybe say a question for Jamison Crowder. He's the only saving grace of the Jets, but at the same time, teams have just realised that putting him in double coverage, it's just sorting things out, and they have whether that's down to Adam Gase, the coach, who I can't believe is still there, or just overall general play. It's just not been great, and should be another blowout win here. I can see the Jets definitely going 0-8. Nothing else in that matter. So Flynn, back over to you for the next one.
Yeah, I do actually have Crowder in my team, but he will be sitting on the bench this week.
Oh.
Anyway, moving on to the next game. This is probably one of the closer games this week in the matchups. The Lions and the Colts. Now, both teams have got off to a similar start. Obviously, the Colts and the Lions is going to be, I think, a very high-scoring game because both of them have had an alright defense, but there's still a lot of improvement needed. So I've just took a stab in the dark and I'm saying Lions because this game is very unpredictable.
Oh, see, Flynn, this is the final I knew would happen again where we're going to be against each other here. I'm going
Eventually.
with the Colts. I'm going with the Colts to pull this one off. I mean, it's true what Flynn said, both have had very quietly good starts to this season. However, It's been a bit mix and match. The Colts' defense have been very good, however, their offense hasn't been the best. With the Lions, the offense has carried the defense. The defense looks shaky at times, however, if you've seen recently, I've just picked up Everson Griffin. So that defense will be boosted this week. However, I think a must start this week is Jonathan Taylor against the Lions, who again have not been great against the run. There's very similar here for most of the teams we've covered so far. Jonathan Taylor's a must start, and I don't think there's any other starts for the Colts this week. I don't see there being. It really depends on how you look at it, but it's kind of difficult to tell who will get the points for the Colts as they're constantly mixing and matching with different players getting high scores each week. On the Lions side of the ball, I'm going with Kenny Golladay, as because the Colts surprisingly are actually good against the run. Finally, a team that's good against the run. So I don't see DeAndre Swift or Adrian Peterson getting many carries. However, Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones should have some decent games, should have some decent scores even on fantasy. And you'll be looking at Kenny Golladay to get upper of about 17 points this week, and maybe Marvin Jones above 10. It's not the greatest game for fantasy points because I'm unsure of who's going to get most of the volume this week, but they're my two guys I would have starting if I was you. But apart from that, Flynn, back over to you.
Right, the next game we are going to be covering is the Ravens and the Steelers. Now, Cammy, I'm not sure what you think about this one, but we'll see in a minute. Now, the Ravens, their offense has been very strong, with the likes of Lamar Jackson being everywhere in the pitch. You can do anything you want. Now, the Steelers' defense, on the other hand, are very strong as well. So this is going to be a very interesting game. Both sides have got one weak and one strong. For example, Ravens' offense is very good, defense not so much. Then the Steelers' defense is fantastic, and their offense could also have some improvements. So I'm just going to go with Ravens. I've said it. I'm sorry, Cammy. But I feel like Lamar Jackson will cause havoc with that Steelers defense.
Right, well, I'm about to start the complete argument here. Obviously, now I will say this before, I am a Steelers fan, as many may know, so I'm slightly biased towards the Steelers. However, that does not come in this matchup, as I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, Lamar Jackson, the passing wise, the team has not been great. They're all about the run, and what are the Steelers good at defending the run?
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball, the Steelers on offense, like Flynn said, they haven't been great as in everyone's touching it, but they're scoring a hefty amount of points, which is good. Which is good enough for me. But so at the same time are the Ravens. The Ravens' defense has been playing decent enough, so it's going to be a very tight matchup. I've got the Steelers to win, however, but it'll be a very close one, and I hope it'll be a high-scoring game. So I wouldn't be starting many players here because I'm unsure of what the game is going to be like. However, for the Steelers, if he plays Deontay Johnson, what an impact he's had when he's played, so he's my must start for the Steelers. On the other side of the ball, on the Ravens, I've got Mark Andrews having a bit of a quieter game, but also scoring maybe a touchdown here and there to get his points up, as because the Steelers have defended so well this year against tight ends and running backs. However, because the Ravens aren't very pass heavy at the moment, this is why I've got the edge on the Steelers winning. If they decide to go up front, pass, and completely blow the Steelers out, then it's my own fault and Flynn wins this one. However, I can't see it happening, and I've got the Steelers to win. So Flynn, it's back over to you for the next one.
So for the next game, Dolphins and the Rams. Now, can we just point out how the Dolphins have had a decent start? I think they're 3-3 or something on their form.
Yeah, 3-3.
Yeah, 3-3. I mean, from a side that really, really struggled last year, they've stepped up. You would never have thought it before the season started, but coming to the Rams, they've been okay, but they haven't been where they should be. But I'm going to go with the Rams anyway because I don't think that the Dolphins will be able to handle the Rams' offense.
Right. So, wait, you're going with the Rams to win, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, okay, so... But I'm going on the same route as Flynn with the Rams to win here due to the fact that if nobody knew, Flynn, I don't even know if you knew, the first round pick for the Dolphins, I believe it was the 5th pick, Tua Tagovailoa, if I've said that right, is making his NFL debut as a starter against the Rams, so that's going to be interesting. That does play a big factor. And obviously, you hope that he's going to play well. However, this Rams defense, you've seen it against the Bears, how insane they look. They shut down everything. And with Tua's first start, I don't know if it was the greatest choice by the coaching staff to let him start against the Rams, but he could turn around and show off. But my starters here in terms of fantasy, I've got. Now, it's a struggle against the Rams here because after watching them, they look great on defense, but I'm going with Myles Gaskin, who can always have a good game here and there at running back. And I'm struggling on the wide receiver side of things. You could maybe make a case for Preston Williams, as Devontae Parker will probably be double covered and be covered by Jalen Ramsey, who had some game last week. On the Rams side of the ball, again, difficult one. The Dolphins have been quietly okay on defense, so I mean, I've got a few question marks around the Rams backfield. So again, if you have any idea on who the starter is going to be for the Rams in the backfield, then I would start him. I mean, I've went with Darrell Henderson to start. He could have a decent game, but him, Malcolm Brown, and Cam Akers have shared that backfield, and it's a struggle fantasy-wise. But Cooper Kupp, if you watch them against the Bears, was starting to perform like he did last year, so he's definitely in a shout with a start this week and good fantasy points. I reckon you could probably get away with starting all the Rams' main wide receivers. That's Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and even Reynolds, the boy who has just started to play, is doing quite well for the Rams. So I can see the Rams winning this, but again, closer game at the start, and I can see the Rams coming away with it at the end. So Flint, over to you for the next game.
So for the next game, it is the Bills and the Patriots. Now, on the Patriots side, the Patriots side, you could say that they're defensive, but their defensive tactics have not been so great. They're 2-4 currently, and the Bills have actually had a very good start, being 5-2. I feel like the Bills will take this one purely because the Patriots' defense hasn't been too great and their offense hasn't been too great either. And I think that the Bills will overcome that and take advantage of it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Finally, again, Flynn, we're back on the same page with things. Everything Flynn said is basically summed up what I was going to say. I'll just add how dreadful the Patriots' offense has been the last few weeks. Cam Newton their starting quarterback, Cam Newton, got pulled for the game last week, after which was a horrendous performance by him. The 49ers destroyed them last weekend. It was absolute destruction. The Bills, I mean, they had a very great start. They kind of got off the rock a wee bit in the last few weeks. But still, I can see the Bills edging this one. Now, on the Patriots side of the ball, I have no players on fantasy starting this week because their backfield's a mess. I've got no clue who's going to be their running back going forward. Cam Newton, if he's thrown 3 interceptions the game, you should just be avoiding no matter what circumstances. And the Patriots' defense has just not been the same unit as they were last year, and it's been a major disappointment. For the Bills, however, I have the Bills' defense starting with, how risky the Patriots have been throwing the ball. Many interceptions been thrown, and just haven't been a great performance by them. I've also got Cole Beasley and John Brown starting for the Bills, 2 wide receivers. Also, Stephon Diggs starting as well. And you can maybe make a case for Josh Allen starting this week, even though the Patriots have been okay against the quarterback. Apart from that, though, Flynn summed that one all up, so on to you again for the next game.
So for the next game, we're going into, again, a more same-level team matchup, basically. So it's going to be the Browns versus the Raiders. Browns 5-2, and the Raiders are 3-3. I want to cause some controversy, alright, Cammy?
Okay,
controversy. I'm saying Raiders, right? Now, I know that's very unexpected because the Browns are easy to say favourites, but I think the Raiders will come on top because they've had an okay start, but they really need to up their game. And I think that's exactly what they'll do against the Browns.
Fair enough. Now, if I'm being honest with you, Flynn, I was close to going with the Raiders to win here, and I kind of had a slight change in heart last second because if you watch the Buccaneers game, they were in it all the way up to the fourth quarter, and they made some stupid mistakes that really were complete rookie mistakes. God, they were trailing for most of the game, but they had multiple chances to come back. They didn't take them, and the Bucs ended up blowing them out. Now against the Browns, Baker Mayfield, he's not been the best. He's not been as many would expect it to be. Obviously, they lost Odell Beckham Jr. for the season last week, so it's going to be questionable. They also lost Nick Chubb during the season. He returns soon. The Raiders, however, have lost a few players. Also, their O-line last week had to deal with no practice due to someone with COVID. They also had their main lineman ejected against the Bucks last week, so that did play a factor. However, I've got the Browns coming up on top. Just main starter this week would be for the Browns is Jarvis Landry. With Odell Beckham Jr. down, you can expect him to get all the volume, and I'm going for it. He is probably, him and DJ Moore are probably my two main starts this week. You heard that right. The Scottish Lads NFL Breakdown.
Okay.
Main start for week 8 is Jarvis Landry against the Oakland Raiders. Then on the Raiders side of the ball, I've got Henry Ruggs having a decent game because the Browns have not been great defensively. Also, Darren Waller, he done decently against the Bucks, and you can maybe make a case for Josh Jacobs to start this week. Anyway, apart from that, Flynn, is back over to you.
Yeah, Nick Chubb will be a big loss for the Browns. Anyway, next game is going to be the Broncos and the Chargers. Again, it's one of these games that are very similar to each other. I've just picked a random team, Cammy. I'm not going to lie. I've just picked Chargers because I think either of these teams can come out on top purely because they've had a mediocre start, and I think that they can both just overcome each other, but I feel like it'll be the Chargers.
Right, well, Flynn, I'm agreeing with you here. The Broncos didn't look too great against the Chiefs last week, and Drew Lock just hadn't performed. The Chargers, however, look as if they're on a turnaround. They have deserved some losses. They have deserved some wins of the losses they've taken. So this week, Chargers-wise, the Broncos defensively in there have not been the best. So I'm starting Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and any other Chargers pass catcher you can think of this week. Also starting Justin Herbert with the games he's had. He's definitely a start. On the Broncos side of the ball, I'm struggling for starters, Flynn. I am indeed. So if all else fails, you know what they say, go with Noah Fant, who is one of the only sort of upsides of this offense right now. Because even though Jerry Jeudy's played well, obviously the rookie pick, sometimes he's been around a 10-point fantasy game, and for a wide receiver that's not the best. However, you can make a case for him to start each week as he's consistently with 10. But Noah Fant's got that upside, they're always having a big game here and there. And to be fair, he's the only Bronco I can see having a decent game, as you may call it, against the Chargers. So I'm going a bit unlike Flynn with the same. Well, with this week, we're both going for the same result. However, I'm saying a Chargers blowout here. Flynn, anyway, over to you for the next game.
For the next game, it's going to be the Bears versus the Saints. Now, you may not know, but I am a Saints fan, so I'm trying not to be biased here. And I don't know if I'm trying to be very unbiased because I'm going to say Bears.
Woof.
I know. I just feel terrible if I say Saints, so I'm going to say Bears. But I've got some evidence to back it up. Now, last season, when the Saints went to the Bears, they gave them a thumping. So I think that made the Bears realise what they had to step up. So the Bears, they beat a very strong Seattle Seahawks side last week. And I think they would have gained so much confidence from that, and they'll take it on to this week. Hence why I think the Bears will just scrape it. And I mean just. And it pains me to say it.
Oh, we've got a controversial one there.
I know.
However, I'm actually with Flynn with the Bears coming out victorious here. Now, even though they took a decimating road loss to the Rams there and did not look great, their defense has carried them fully. And if I'm being perfectly honest, some may agree Drew Brees is not the quarterback he once was this season. He's going a lot to check downs. He's no longer looking right downfield. He's missed quite a few plays. So on the Saints side, I've only got Alvin Kamara starting. Like, if you've got him, you've got to start him each week. I personally have him, and there's no regrets. Like, you've got to start him no matter who he's playing, because you know that he's always going to get upside and volume. So that's my only Saint player. My only Bears starter this week is Allen Robinson, as last week the Russian game was horrendous. Nick Foles underperformed massively, and so the only saving grace is Robinson here, and I can see him having a big game. Also, you can make a case for the Bears' defence to start. However, I can see the Saints scoring some points, which kind of brings the fantasy value of the defence down, which is annoying, even though they're playing well, but still. But yeah, I'm going with a close game, but Bears to come out victorious. So, Flynn, over to you.
Yeah, I agree with you with Drew Brees there. I mean, you could put Hill there, but I mean, Drew Brees, you sort of have to start him there. Anyway, next game, I think, is the best game this matchup. It's Seahawks and 49ers. Now, this is going to be the best game this week, I think. 49ers and the Seahawks, obviously both having a great start to the season. 49ers, okay, they're 4-3, but I think they've been great offensively. I think this will be a very, very high-scoring game. Obviously, Seahawks coming up again against a loss with the Bears. We said that last time. But I think the Seahawks will win it purely because of the 49ers defence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, on my side, it was a bit of a struggle to predict this one with
Agreed.
how close it could be. And I did actually, when I'm looking at what I was doing, I underlined both teams here. When me and Flint were writing down who we thought was going to win, so I've made a mistake here, but it was the Seahawks who I've got coming out slight winners here. Right,
Yeah.
it's going to be I can see it going to overtime, in fact. Now, a quick fact, Seahawks defence has been dreadful. Like, they got beat last week, off the Cardinals, and it all came down to defence. The defence was shocking. And how, I'm going to say it right now, this is an apologies to all Seahawks fans before I start going on a rant, but their defence has been dreadful, and in my opinion, they do not deserve to be 5-1 with that defence. Now, their offense, however, has been explosive. It has been amazing, with any good defence, they would be honestly Super Bowl contenders. But their defence lets them down so much, and that's why when I'm looking at fantasy value here, that's why I look at Seahawks and I'm like, oh damn, there's not a lot to start on this side. Like Tyler Lockett had the free game touchdown last week. That's why he's my only Seahawks main start this week. Now, you can also obviously start Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf. I think Flynn found out last week, can always had his off games. Only 4 fantasy points last week for Flynn, which wasn't too great. And if you're looking at that, I seen the game last week, and I thought to myself, right, both him and Lockett are going to have big games, but Russell Wilson, if you look at fantasy points wise, he only seems to properly target one wide receiver for the full game, which is a bit of a strange one, I've realised. So, but I'm going with Tyler Lockett after that game last week. He'll be on the slope as anything. On the 49ers side, with how bad the Seahawks defence is, we've got George Kittle starting, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, whoever's going to be the running back for them, who I don't know yet because they've been changing it like mad, and we've seen multiple running back issues in the backfield, but they're still running hard. So, I can make a case for all the 49ers offensive players starting this week. So, it's going to be a tight one, but I've got the Seahawks shadily coming out on top. Right, Flynn, over to you.
I mean, now that I think about it, Drew Brees and Russell Wilson are sort of similar. They both go for the same wide receiver all the time.
True.
Yeah, come to think of it. Anyway, the next game is the Giants and the Bucks. Right, the Giants. Oh, the Giants.
Oh, the Giants.
That's all I can say, really. 1-6. But I mean, at least they're not doing as badly as the Jets. They'll be saying that to themselves.
You've got to below them Jets fans.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but at least they're not doing as bad as them. I mean, the Bucks. It has to be the Bucks. It can't go the other way. If it does go the other way, oh my God, the Bucks would have had to have a howler. Tom Brady will be saying to his people, whew. But yeah, I think the Bucks will come out on top comfortably on this one.
Flynn, I have complete agreement with you there.
Yep.
If you're going with the Giants to win, then there must be something wrong here.
Agreed.
It's like Tom Brady will be clapping his hands at this matchup. That's why I've got everyone on the Bucks starting. No matter who she is, get them started. I don't care. I've said she there because I literally mean anyone on the Bucks. God, you could probably even start them in coaching staffs at wide receivers and beat the Giants at this rate. The Giants have got nobody starting for obvious reasons. You could maybe make a case for Evan Ingram, possibly, because he's been down, but he will have an up game at some point. But just no, avoid all Giants players this week because the Bucks defense have been nasty. Right, apart there's nothing else much to say on that game because
it's just one-sided.
Much else. Right, Flynn, it's over to you for, I believe, are we on the final matchup?
Yes, we are, and the final one is the Eagles versus the Cowboys. I'll know a few people that won't be happy with this.
Oh.
And I know a few people that will be. I mean, it's one of these fixtures that's a funny one, isn't it? Eagles, they're quite an average team in my opinion. They're not.
Both
they're not
that
the
and I think I'm going to interrupt with. It's probably the worst division in the NFL right now. I think of the teams, the most they've managed win-wise is 2.
I'm just trying to put this nicely. I think the Cowboys. I know. I'm saying it. I think the Cowboys. Full stop.
Flynn has just said he thinks the Cowboys on their third-string starting quarterback will beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
I don't think that'll matter. You know that.
Oh, right, well, as you've heard from my dismay right there, I'm going with the Eagles to win, and I'll give you my reasons why.
We'll see.
1, the Cowboys got beat off the football team last week. The Washington football team. And even though anyone can win this division, it's just both teams, to be fair, are looking shocking. However, just with the fact how bad the Cowboys' defense, offensive line, and quarterback play's been, I can't find a case for them to win, and that's why the Eagles have got the edge here. Now, in terms of fantasy value, the only player I've got in the Cowboys is Ezekiel Elliott, because I'm thinking if the first-string quarterback's in against the Eagles, who are going to be fired up for this matchup because it's a divisional matchup, and it's probably the Eagles, Cowboys' most feared rivals are each other. So Elliott's the only one I've got starting for the Cowboys. On the Eagles side of the ball, I've got Travis Fulgham. Now, I've got Dallas Goedert if he plays, because Wentz was targeting him a lot at the start of the season. And then I've got whoever the running back is, because I don't know at this stage. I think it'll be Boston Scott. So Boston Scott owners, you'll be thankful if he's playing again. And then I've got Carson Wentz, who's gradually turning this season around for what a stinky start to the season he had. Flynn, did you see how badly at the start?
I know.
It was not the best. However, I've got the Eagles winning this, and I'm going to say it comfortably to put the rub salt in Flynn's wounds there. So me and Flynn are very much against each other on this matter.
Had to cause some controversy, didn't I?
Yeah, a few controversial moments this video we have indeed. Now, I think that leads us to the end of our thing. So Flynn, I'm going to ask you, who is your must-start fantasy player this week who you think is going to blow us away?
Right, for this one, I discussed it earlier. Their defence, and especially when their defensive team, has been shocking to start. And I think this team, their offense has been okay, but I think they'll do brilliant against this team. I have to say Josh Allen at quarterback.
Josh Allen at quarterback?
Yep, Josh Allen at quarterback for the Bills.
Flynn's must start now. Flynn, I
feel like he'll easily rack up 20 points.
Yeah, I'll let you have one more because we said at the start of the show before we started recording we'd only pick one. And I've ended up having 2 in my head that I mentioned throughout, but I'll mention them again. So Flynn, who was the other one you had in mind?
The other one I had in mind was Lamar Jackson, but then when you told me about how Lamar Jackson decides to run it because they haven't really got anyone to pass to, I started to think, and then I thought Josh Allen has to take him over because I think you're right on that one.
Right. Should I say mine?
Yeah, go say yours.
Right, well, I've already said at the start. Now, my ones are a bit strange for everyone fantasy-wise because you wouldn't really normally say they'd be as good, but DJ Moore is probably a very, very much must start and has high upside this game. And I said it, bit strangely, I went the Scottish Lads NFL Breakdown start of the week is Jarvis Landry, but I'll say it again, the Scottish Lads NFL Breakdown start of the week this week is Jarvis Landry.
Wow.
Flynn, what are your thoughts on that?
Wow, I'm speechless.
Speechless.
Wow.
Speechless.
Yeah,
Oh.
I feel like he's a bit unexpected, you know that?
You do have a point. I'm just thinking with Odell Beckham Jr.'s injury, he's going to be the only main pass catcher, and we mentioned it earlier, the Raiders' defence has not been the best.
That's a good shout, but wow.
Wow.
Don't get me wrong, I feel like he'll rack up some points, but wow.
Decisions here.
Wow.
Right, and apart from that, Flynn, what would you like to say closing today's show? Any big mentions or anything you've got?
Well, I mean, I would just want to say it's glad to be back and doing this, because I mean, it's been so long since we did our last one, and it's actually feeling great that we're back in it. I just can't wait to keep doing it. You know that?
Yeah, I'm very much glad to be back. I'd like to say again, if you haven't realised, we had a video out during lockdown, which was I believe our third or last video from now, where we hit over 2,000 views. Now, me and Flynn were blown away when we heard the numbers.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like, we might not ever hit that for a while again, but we'd just like to say a big thanks to everyone who contributed to that, and it means a lot, it does, because it gives me and Flynn the opportunity, drive to do more videos and to keep going, really, to know that it's liked and everything like that. But we have got the new Madden series coming out on YouTube, which is going to be the main focus of the YouTube channel, along with these predictions as well. Now, you might hear this on podcast as well if I decide to put this up on podcast, as a podcast as well as a YouTube video. But the main focus of the YouTube channel is going to be predictions and Tyreek Hill to glory. If you've watched the new video that came out explaining with the channel, the podcasts are going to start focusing back on me and Flynn's match reviews and any things that go on there. But Flynn, to end us off, I'd like you to do what you signaturely do every video, run us through the socials.
I will, Cammy. So, haven't done this in a while. If you'd like to go check out our socials, we are on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Podbean, podcasts on iTunes, and all of them are under the name Scottish Lads NFL Breakdown. If you could just go over to them, that'd be much appreciated. Every little thing helps. As Cammy said, we hit 2,000 views in one of our videos, and it just keeps us going because we like to think that people like what we're doing. So, yeah, thank you.
Right, Flynn had a bit of a struggle. He's getting back into things after he's not said that in a while. Bit of a kerfuffle, but
yeah, indeed.
Yeah, Flynn, we are enjoying getting back to the swing of things, and everyone has made it's better doing this, and we truly do enjoy. But like Flynn, you can agree how much you enjoy doing this.
I actually do enjoy doing this. Just coming home, just writing notes about what we're about to do, and then just recording it and saying what we want. I mean, what's not to like? I like talking, don't I? So
it does give us a freedom of speech, you could say, in this matter. Quick thing I'd like to say before we close today is, if anyone's out there and they've got any interest in the NFL, or editing, or making channel or things like that, or running a social media, if they could get down in the comments, because we're needing more help continuing forward, because we've got a lot of stuff planned. And to be fair, me and Flynn could be doing with an extra hand here and there with things. But apart from that was me and Flynn talking today about our predictions and fantasy pros for week 8 of the NFL 2020 season. So we will say our remarks and goodbyes, and we hope to catch you next time. So yeah, catch you all later.
see you, bye.